is important. What they have to say is important, and how they feel on the job is important. One of the reasons that we wanted to have this conversation, personally, I know that many of them have seen things on maybe their timelines and written about officers. Many times I think you don't take into account that these people in our lives serve and protect on a daily basis. Many of them have absolutely nothing to do with a lot of the things that are going on the news, but what you say about them, it does affect them. So I want to go ahead and open it up to have an honest conversation about how they feel serving and protecting in the communities that they serve and protect in, why they became officers, and how they feel about what's going on currently. And in that process, we'll also hear a little more personal things about them. So you get to know some of these people. You get to know why they became officers, how they're feeling, maybe about their family, like they feel like they want to share that. What they do when they're not with the badge and the gun and in uniform. And I think all of that is important. All of it is integral. And all of it is something that we need to take into consideration while we are having these conversations about officers. So let's go ahead and get it started with David. I wanted you guys to go around and give your name, tell them if you want, what agency, how long you've served, and why you decided to become an officer in the first place. Dave?
Sure. First name, as you can see, David, last name Duncan. Those of you who may know me from 60 Days In on A&E worldwide. Been in the field for 8 years, worked in a city called East Cleveland. Been a sergeant, detective, SWAT team, FTO, pretty much did it all. Worked in an extremely high crime area, extremely high crime. Everything you can think of, I've experienced it. I'm just pretty much here, to answer everybody's questions. I'm one of the realest people you're gonna pretty much talk to about in regards to law enforcement or life in general. So that's pretty much me.
All right. Robert, go ahead and let the people know. Let's unmute you.
Am I good?
You good?
Okay. So my name is Robert Lockhart. Came on the job fresh out of college, 24 plus years on the job. Pretty much have done everything. I've worked undercover, I've worked patrol, I've worked what they used to, the gang unit, crash. I'm currently a traffic motorcycle officer. So I'm the one that you slam on your brakes when you see me sitting there with my laser pointed at you. Honestly, I came on the job because of many of the things that people are talking about now. What I saw back in the day growing up in LA, and my original intent at San Diego State, being a criminal justice major, was to go into law school. But my sister was on this job on LAPD, and it really made me see how we could make a change within our own community. And so that's what I did. I came back here to work in the community, and that's what I've been doing for 25 years almost.
Very good. Ryan, unmute. There you go.
Good. Yeah. So my name is Ryan Isan. And I was, two agencies. My path was a little different. I started as a city planner, working for the city of Los Angeles. And before that, I went through, college, got a bachelor's, master's, and got a doctorate degree, and became a reserve with LA County Sheriff. Liked it a lot, did that for a few years, and then moved to Memphis, Tennessee. Did 10 years full-time with Memphis PD. I worked patrol. I did 5 years at the training academy as a firearms and tactics instructor. So I, did all the sort of stuff you do at the academy: recruit training, active shooter, taser instructor, all those things. Worked community policing unit, and then went back out to patrol in 2017, and got Officer of the Year in 2017. And I resigned in the end of 2018, moved back to Los Angeles. And, I got into it a lot of the same reasons, kind of echo what Rob was saying. As cliche as it sounds, I want to make a difference. And I enjoyed being out, dealing with different people every day, helping them solve their problems, and, being able to, make an impact in the community. And really, that's why I got into it.
Very good. Ms. Kendra?
Hello, I'm Kendra Williams. Let's see. I first worked at Los Angeles Airport Police. I was there for 11 years. I was a field training officer, as well as I was in the K-9 unit for 7 years. I then lateral to Ventura Police Department, where I was there for 5 years. I was injured in the line of duty, so I'm now medically retired. And much like, everyone else, got into the profession because I wanted to help. It was at the time out of college, just like Robert, I thought about going to law school. Also thought about, becoming a doctor. I was kind of undecided at that time. Realized I didn't want to go to school for 10 years. So decided to become an officer. So.
Even as a woman, I kind of wanted you to go into that. We lost Gia, but as a female, did you have any concerns going into law enforcement?
In my academy class, there was only 10 females. 10 females out of 80 cadets. So I already knew that it was a male-dominated profession. There weren't also a lot of minorities at the time in the profession. So I knew that going in, but I guess being a tomboy, always hanging around guys, it didn't scare me. I knew that I would have my challenges, and it was just a matter of I just had to prove myself.
Got it. And where's Bo? Bo?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we hear you.
So it's Officer Bo Braxton. Voice kind of raspy. I was yelling at the kids today, but I've been in law enforcement for 11 years. Unlike y'all, I'm down here in Georgia, so I guess law enforcement career is a little bit different from y'all. Y'all be on the West Coast, me being the East Side, on the East Coast. Me, I grew up in South Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Like the police down there is a different type of policing in South Georgia. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to give people a different perspective on what law enforcement should be and what it should look like. So been law enforcement 11 years. I'm currently on patrol. I did active shooter, undercover, narcotics, human trafficking. I basically did it all other than SWAT. So, but that's about it though.
You said give it a different look. What did it look like before you joined for you to decide you wanted to give it a different look?
Well, it's Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's Georgia. It's hard to explain, but just where I grew up at was basically about 20 miles from the Brunswick situation. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, that's where I grew up. So the dynamics of the law enforcement back in the 90s in South Georgia, it was deep. You know what I'm saying? And then me going from living in South Georgia as a kid to going to a college as a PWI in South Georgia, also where I don't know if you heard about the Lounge situation with the kid that was found in the Met. Remember that a couple of years ago?
Yep. At the school?
Well, you're right. So that area is where I went to college at. So you got to think about my whole childhood, college lifestyle was based upon the South Georgia, the good old boy mentality. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know that mentality or heard it before, but that's what I grew accustomed to. And that's what a lot of black men and black women my age, that's all they know when it comes to law enforcement. When I was growing up, I didn't see a lot of black cops. And I just wanted to give just kids that look like me, a different perspective of how an officer should walk, talk, you know what I'm saying, especially in Georgia. So, but now me being in Metro Atlanta, I'm actually an officer in the south side of Atlanta, in the city of Morrow, Clinton County. But me being an officer in Atlanta, you know what I'm saying, it gives, since Atlanta is chocolate city, you know what I'm saying, it just gives everybody a different look of how things should go. So.
Got you. One of the things I won't say struggled with, but it's almost like a situation now when people would say, oh, you went to college, you're kind of uppity, right? What has been brought to our attention is there are a lot of officers that don't have a high degree of education, right? There are some departments that have a lot of officers that are, if you'd say, undereducated. Do you ever feel any kind of hierarchy in a department based on your education? Because I say this call is college educated. We're all in sorority life, sorority and fraternity life. So we have an education. Is there any type of hierarchy in police departments based on, let's say, your education or race or any of that? Do you ever feel that? Rob, you want to take that?
Tonya?
Yeah.
Do you not see me?
I don't see you. Oh, I didn't see you. You're back. I'm sorry, girl. I was texting you actually.
I see you, G. I see you.
Thank you, Bo. Thank you. You know how it is. You know how your Neos are. They forget.
Oh, we're pulling cards now? Okay.
They forget. So I'm gonna have to remind her.
I couldn't see. I was actually trying to go live, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to remind her.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gia Neal Sneed, also known as Gia Neal in my profession. Like you guys all, I got into my profession out of college. I didn't really want to be I didn't grow up want to be a police officer or cop. Actually, I didn't like the police. I was scared of the police growing up because they was always negative. But after going to college, I got a job at the courts, working in the courts, my little student worker job. And I wanted to be an accountant at first. But after working in an office with a bunch of women, I was like, oh no, I can't do no office work. This ain't gonna be for me. But I've always liked law. And I worked around the marshals at the time because I work for LA County Sheriff's Department. I have 29 plus years on. And so my career started in the courts. And I went to the academy, graduated academy, went and worked the jails, left the jails. I worked courts. After I left courts, I went to patrol. I patrolled the streets of Carson. Then I left Carson. I went over to the gang unit, worked gangs for a while. And then the LA County Sheriff's, we took over Compton city's policing in 2000. I went over to Compton. I worked Compton. I was a watch deputy Compton. And also I was a detective at Compton. I left detective Compton station detective. And I went to narco. So I was a narco detective for a while. Then I promoted to sergeant from narcotics. And then I went to Lenox Station as a patrol sergeant, worked there for a while. Then I became a detective sergeant. And then after that, I was asked to go work, become a scheduling and operations sergeant in one of the jails. So I went and worked the jails. And from there, I got asked to become a chief's aide, which is it was a big deal back in those days. So being asked to become a chief's aide was really big. So I was a chief's aide for a while. And that's where I got a lot of my administrative experience, being a chief's aide and an operations sergeant. Then I promoted to lieutenant. I'm currently a lieutenant for LA County Sheriff's Department. And I work at the female jail down in Linwood. That's where I work. So that's what I'm currently doing right now. And I'm looking forward to retirement. I heard somebody earlier saying they're about to retire pretty soon. So so am I. I'm trying to do another year and a half. And then I'm out the door, but it might be sooner. So that's me, so. And of course, I'm a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. So, gotta throw that out there and stuff. So yeah, for the people.
So let me go ahead, while you have the mic, while you have the floor, Ms. Gia, go back to my question about education. A lot of people are just like that. There are officers that don't even have a high school degree, or maybe that's all they have. And I know that I'm on panel right now with highly educated group of individuals. Do you see that being an issue in your department, or is there other hierarchy type issues that you deal with law enforcement at your agency?
You're muffled. I couldn't hear I couldn't hear everything, but I think the question was something to do with
Education.
education. Well, for to become a police officer, all you need is a high school diploma or a GED. It's not required that you have a college degree. And back in my day, when I came in, most of the people came in. I came in the early '90s, and so I'm thinking in the '80s and the '90s, a lot of people came in just with high school diplomas, and you did have your share that came in with a college degree. And I wouldn't say one is better than the other, because there's a lot of great people that don't have degrees that are doing the job and moving up in rank. So I wouldn't say that it's necessary. It's different. The thing when you have a college degree, you bring in a little more experience because you've gone to school for at least 4 years or more. So you're not 19 and a half or 8, when you can come on as early as 19 and a half on our department. So you have some kind of life experiences. You've been around some other people that don't necessarily look like you. You got a little culture behind you because you've gone to college and you've experienced the college life. So that does help. You're a little more mature coming in, because people don't realize people graduating the academy at 19 and a half, they can't even buy a gun for themselves. Some people, and so you got to remember, you got people coming in that are very young and they have a lot of responsibility. They're given a lot of responsibility when they take that oath, and I don't think they sometimes realize how big it is and how heavy it can be. It can get at times, and that's important. But when you have some experience, either work experience or college experience, you do come in sometime a little different. Some things don't faze you because you've been through it. Like the academy. The academy is rough for a lot of people coming right out of high school. But I'm sure for all of us that came through, the academy wasn't nothing after being online, and you got some big sisters and some big brothers. A DI ain't nothing.
Stop snitching. Stop snitching.
So.
Ryan, Bo.
Yeah, so you wanted to kind of sort of piggyback off that. Can you hear me, Tonya?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And I definitely agree with Gia. It's there are people who can do the job with a college degree, and there are people who do the job with a high school degree to do it very well. I think you're seeing now more people coming on the job with degrees than you used to. The saying I've heard is that these days to promote you need a degree. I know when I was with Memphis PD, they required either military or 2 years college at a minimum, and they changed that a couple years ago. But that was pretty much the standard. And and you've got some people with advanced degrees. I can just tell you from personal experience. I had a PhD, but that's not something I flaunted around. I sort of kept that to myself. Just because you just don't have too many people with those sort of degrees like that. And so, but I think you do have people with bachelor's degrees and master's degrees, and people who are on the job seeking higher education, whether it's master's, doctorate, etc. Because it definitely help you promote at the very least. But that's my 2 cents.
Bo?
Yep. Me personally, a lot of the cops I work with, a lot of them have college degrees. I think everybody I work with really didn't have no college degree, but like 2 or 3. I wouldn't say it makes you a better officer, but it does prepare you, I guess, for the role. Me personally, just because you got a college degree don't mean you really got common sense when it comes to this job.
That part right there, Bo. That part right there.
It's really, like, I know a lot of people be saying they want officers to have college degrees and everything like that. Me personally, it's not really a college degree thing. It's more of a common sense. how you grew up experience type thing. Me personally, as far as in Georgia, if I'm saying like, it ain't really the college thing. It's just common sense. And as you know, you can't get common sense for going to college. Common sense is just something you have naturally. So I wouldn't say college makes you a better officer, but I do think it helps you prepare to be able to deal with people, you know what I'm saying? Like certain aspects of college makes the job easier, but I wouldn't say it makes you the top-notch officer in a department unless, but well, we say this in Atlanta, and as far as my agency that I work for, a college degree isn't needed. You know what I'm saying? Now there's incentives in certain agencies in Atlanta where if you do have a college degree, you get more money. But as far as if you don't have a college degree, it's like it's not really a big deal. You know what I'm saying? It's just not as pushed as much. You know what I'm saying? But as far as it's used as an incentive to get more money, but it's not really as a in order for you to be the cop, you gotta have a college degree. But as far as like to be a chief and a sheriff, then you gotta have a college degree. As far as the upper echelon, as far as rank, but starting off, a college degree is just like not really a big deal. Sadly to say, here I don't know how it is over there, but a college degree, cops don't look at you differently. You know what I'm saying? It's not really a big deal.
Robert, Kendra?
It's kind of pretty much said. I'm a DI at a police academy, and from what I see, you know, it is there are a lot that are very young, fresh out of high school, maybe have taken a college course here and there, have worked a little job here and there, but they have no life experience. With going to college, it does at least give them a little bit of that experience. It gives them that socialization. It exposes them to different people of different backgrounds. It helps them as far as writing. Most people just see cops on TV and think, oh, I want to chase bad guys. When 90% of the job is actually writing. It teaches you how to actually talk to people, how to have public speaking skills. So, you know, as Bo was saying, it helps as far as getting the experience, as far as, you know, learning what certain aspects of college can bring. But as far as having a degree per se, does it make you better? No, it's all about common sense, having the ability to talk to people, having the ability to you know, de-escalate, you know, whatever it is. And common sense cannot be taught, but there are certain aspects of college that can definitely help, you know, someone trying to get into the field.
Rob, anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I have a college degree, and I don't know, the way I see it, I mean, within LAPD, we all work together. There's no separatism as far as, you know, when people with degrees or not, people who don't have degrees, like we think we're better or worse. But I will tell you, from a patrol standard, someone who works the streets, even with a degree, the people who tend to promote the fastest are the people who tend to have degrees most of the time. And, you know, very much like it's been alluded to here, common sense, you know, and sorry, Soror, I know you're a lieutenant, but we think our hierarchy is pretty idiotic. You know, we think they're stupid most of the time. They make really poor decisions. And in my opinion, that's primarily because they are very book smart. You know, they have their bachelors, they have their masters, they test well, they interview well, but most of them have never done a real stint in the street, in my opinion, where the lifeblood of all departments live and breathe. So to me, I mean, my partner has a an associate's degree. You know, he's 10 years younger than me. I feel like he is a phenomenal officer. I never looked at him any different because he didn't have a degree. I know our department, you have to be 20 and a half to enter the academy, which still does not leave a lot of room for life experience, but I know it's a huge push for people who have been in the military. So, you know, even if you're 22 years old and you come on this job and you've been in the military, you know, in today's state, you have probably had some pretty explosive life experiences within the military. So coming into a police force, you know, sometimes I think that, you know, they come in a little too gung-ho and they need to learn how to tone it down because they're no longer dealing with, you know, people who are trying to kill them per se. I mean, some people are trying to kill us, but, you know, within our own community. So I don't think a degree does anything. I mean, I personally think I'm smarter than my own chief. So that's just my take.
I agree with you, Robert. A degree doesn't make you any better. And you're right. A lot of people go and they get all this education and then they don't probably have common sense to begin with, but then they really don't have it once they get all these degrees behind their name. So no, to answer your question, Tonya, no, having a degree, I don't think it's any better. The key really is really work experience. To make you a better officer is work experience, getting out there, being somewhere, working somewhere for a while. And like Robert said, a lot of people who have degrees, they're good test takers. So whenever a test comes up, they're taking the next test, moving up to the next rank, and they probably only work somewhere for maybe a year and a half, depends on how quickly the testing process is. So they're not really, they're not that great of a supervisor or manager. And I can speak from, because I'm a manager, and I deal with them every day. And we have sergeants and some lieutenants who promoted very quickly, and they haven't really worked anywhere. And they're not very smart. They don't know the job, and they really can't lead their troops that well because they don't have experience. You need experience. That's the key in this profession, is experience in working in the field. In whatever unit you're working in, you need to experience to make you a better officer, a well-rounded officer.
And David, you have multiple things going on. So in regards to the higher education and work experience, do you think it helps?
No, period. I mean, I get all the points about the whole having a degree, help you test better, you get a promotion faster, all that. But I grew up in the slums of Jamaica, man. I ain't never had nothing. You know what I'm saying? I got a fear of God. I have a fear of consequence. But the one thing that I pride myself on is that I have an understanding. I have compassion. You get what I'm saying? So like for me, life has seasoned me to a point where I feel like I can mingle with the poorest to the richest. It's really about what you've been through. It's really about what you do with the time that you are given. It's some things that you just can't learn in a classroom. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, like, if people believe that a degree makes you smarter, because what make you think that? Because the media say that? Because what our world states, if you don't have this, you're not that, or you can't achieve this if you don't have that. Like, no, it's plain. If you look at the world's millionaires, it's probably only like, 5 to 10% of them even have a degree at all. It's really, when it comes down to just life, man, life is the best teacher that you can possibly have. Along next to that is your parents, if you grew up with them, or some type of figure for you. But the key to this is just knowing how to embark on talking to different people from different walks of life. I'm able to relate to everybody. I don't care if you got the most money. I don't care if you grew up and didn't have nothing, or your parents died, or you was on drugs. I can relate to you in some form of that. We kind of in a situation, low key, which has been going on for quite a while. It's just that technology has advanced to a point where now we're able to capture it. But understand that, to go back to your question, no, a degree doesn't make you smarter. It doesn't make you more. It doesn't make you have to achieve more or less, because there's plenty of people with degrees that's not even working in a field. Now you figure in the police field, well, what is an arts and science degree gonna do when you pull up on a domestic call? There's 5 people fighting in the middle of the street and you gotta gain control. Like, that don't mean nothing to me. Now your life experience and dealing with people, how you gonna handle it, and not going to your back belt. You feel me? Like, this your most important weapon when you in the field, period. It's how you talk to people, how you interact with people, how you relate to people, how you understand people, how you communicate is everything, man. So no, I don't agree with having a degree or it's being necessary. Can it help? The one thing I heard Gia said, and going to college will definitely open you up to different walks of life, different people, different experiences. But if you close-minded, it don't even matter. You can be exposed to everything under the sun, but if you tunnel vision, you ain't gonna take none of it in. So that's
Well, let's start right there with that response. I want you to follow that up with, what does Black Lives Matter mean to you? Is there systematic racism in policing? And if officers have not experienced other races and other situations, can they realistically be able to deal with other people in conflict and in traumatic situations? Go ahead, Dave.
All right. So first and foremost, is racism systematic in the police field? Yes. And I'm gonna say this. When I was in the academy, I had a white guy come to me and he was like, "Yo, Dave, like I see everything in you. I see that you're gonna become great. I see it, your statue. But I want to tell you something real fast. It's an honest to God story. He told me, listen to me. You're entering a white man's field of work." At the time, I was like, damn, what you mean? Like, but I understood, but I didn't. I'm like, no, I'm thinking like, I ain't got no felonies. I should be good. Like, I'm good, man. I'm a good kid. I'm from the hood. I done been in the streets, but I'm good, though. I should be straight. Like, they should want me. No, that wasn't the case. It wasn't, for real. And it was very, very hard for me to get a job. And the place where I got a job, I started off making $16.76 an hour, dealing with all the crime you can imagine. Imagine me being, at the time I was 28, I'm 36 now. Yeah. So you figure, for me, I got thrown to the fire not knowing what I was really getting myself into. I appreciate it in the long run, but I came into it with an open mind. So to answer your question, yes, I've experienced it. I've seen it. I've been pulled over when I was in plain clothes, just driving my regular POV. I've gotten into officers on duty with a whole nother city at the borderline. So it's like, the one thing I want to throw out there for everybody real quick, stop thinking that all police are friends. Stop thinking that we all just cool and we just go to the bar together and just kick it and look out for each other. It's not always like that. I'm not saying that it isn't, but it's not always like that. You feel me? But technology has advanced so far that now what has already been going on is now being seen and is being brought to the light. So that's the best way I can answer that question. What's the other parts to your question? I'm sorry.
What does Black Lives Matter mean to you, if anything?
The phrase itself means a lot, because I heard somebody say this one day. It's not so much that all lives don't matter. I'm just trying to get y'all to realize that just a single Black life matter. That's it. That's it. We just want you to know that it matters. Okay, cool. And I don't really have an issue with it, but the things that I would have a problem with and I might get chewed. I'm probably gonna get chewed out for this. I know I will. But I asked myself, okay, who is the CEO? Who is the face of Black Lives Matter? Is there a building or a location? Can I call the 800 number for customer services? Is somebody that is like truly the face of it? Is somebody that's out there really like freedom fighting or whatever the case may be? If you look at every great movement in history of America, because America got a rich history of a lot of movements, there's always been a leader. There's always been somebody in the forefront. I get the hashtag. I'm all for it. You get what I'm saying? Hey, man, Black Lives Matter. I get it. But who is leading us? They just raised $250,000. Where did it go? Show me where.
To Act Blue. That's where it went.
And maybe so. And even with that being said, like you said, what is, if you don't know what that is, or you don't know what it stands for, or you don't know what that's going to produce for the Black Lives Matter movement, or whatever you would like to call it, it's kind of like, damn, we just raised up a whole bunch of money. But once again, I hate to say this, because people gonna hate when I say this too, but we have a history of kind of like being unorganized. We only band together when it's like horrible situations. We want to be like,
Speak on it, David. Go on, speak.
You feel, yeah, you feel me? Like, no, you my brother, you my sister. Like, yeah, let's band up against this. Okay, let's battle this. All right, that's cool. Let's say we fight this battle, yo. We win this battle, right? But then we all go our separate ways. We all go do our own thing. We start killing each other. We still do it. It's like, okay, don't let it just matter when it's, don't try to solve a problem when it's a problem. If you know you got a flat tire, you know you got air losing out your tire, don't wait until you stranded to fix it. Like, fix it ahead of time. But hey, man, I'm once again, Black lives does matter to me. A Black person's lives matter to me. Okay, I think everybody's lives matter to me. But at the same time, let's find a way that we can come together, but have a little more structure.
Gia?
I'm muted.
Oh, I'm not muted. I get it, and I agree with a lot of what David was saying. Yes, Black lives does matter, but all lives matter too. And my life matters. My life matters when I'm in uniform, and it matters a lot to me when I'm in uniform, because that's when the most time my life can be taken away from me. It's when I'm in uniform. And I'm with David. It's a movement, but like you said, who's the leader? And we rally together when for, like you said, to battle one thing, and then once we get that thing battled, like, we go our separate ways. And when the movement first came about, when I first heard about the movement, it was something negative towards the police. And by me being a police, I kind of took a little offense to it, because it's like, everybody, that could be me, who they're protesting or anything, so I kind of was like, wait a minute now. What is this about? Is this about Black Lives Matter against the police? Or is it Black Lives Matter as a whole, and encompasses everything in every aspect of life? So that's my take on Black Lives Matter. I'm with it. I do believe our lives do matter, and but all our lives on this call matter too in our profession. And I think what happens that gets lost. People forget that some of their family and friends are wearing the badge and out protecting and serving. And when they're out there protesting and saying all these things that they're saying about the police, and you always get the people saying, oh, well, we're not talking about you, Jill. We're not talking about you, Robert. We're not talking about you, Bo. We're not talking about you, Kendra. We're not talking about you, Ryan. We're not talking about you, David. Okay,
about the other one.
And everybody else, okay, really?
Different. You different.
Yeah, you're different and stuff. But if we face it with situation, we all want to come home every night, okay, or every day, so.
Hey, Gia. Hey, Gia, throw this in there too. You a coon. You a sellout. You work with the white man. Like, damn.
Yeah,
some battles gotta be fought from the inside out, bro.
Right, yeah, right. We all trying to make a living, and what if I went on their job, at their corporate job, and was saying Black Lives Matter on their corporate job, or whatever, or it's like that. It's a job for us. I think all of us on this call, where we're around the people, we don't eat, sleep this job. It's a job. It provides the necessities for all of us to provide for our families, and it's a good profession. Don't get me wrong, people have this negative aspect of law enforcement, and it is a good profession. It's some bad apples in the profession, but there's bad apples in every profession. And right now, like David said, this stuff's been going on for years, but right now we got social media, and social media is blowing up every and anything. So if today is the police, tomorrow it's going to be something else. If a camera's there. So, and it'll be a different movement. But my whole thing with this movement, we started it, they started the movement, and now all of a sudden we want to support everything Black, but you should have been supporting everything Black before all this happened. And I want to talk about that. And that might be another for the live, because we all, it's like, all of a sudden now we're going, let's support these Black people from this day to that day. Well, you should have been supporting me from day one. Don't give me 3 days out the month or out this movement to support me. You should have been already supporting all of us.
So the basic piggyback off what they said. And me personally, I dig the Black Lives Movement. You know what I'm saying? Like, me being Black, of course, I understand it. I dig it. You know what I'm saying? But I think, like David said, like, me personally, I don't know who's the leader. I don't know who's basically pushing the movement. And then it's like, it changes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I see different aspects of it, and it's like they pick and choose when it's appropriate to push. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they pick and choose.
Because for
which Black person don't say it's like they pick and choose which Black lives actually matters.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And for a minute it had died down. You hadn't heard no hashtag, you ain't see nothing, then all of a sudden.
And honestly, the Floyd situation, I don't even hear about it no more. You know what I'm saying? It's like the message starts to die down to every incident. You know what I'm saying?
It's trendy.
Like, as soon as the incident happened, everything else goes get pushed to the back burner. You don't hear nothing about it no more. You know what I'm saying? Now, like I said, I don't knock it. I can dig it. I dig the protests. I even dig the riots. I ain't gonna lie. I understand. Just because I don't agree with the riots, I understand the riots. Folks pissed off. Hey,
You're tripping,
I understand being pissed off. You know what I'm saying? But I just want a little bit more clarity on what's next.
It's almost like we need a separate terminology separate from this movement that we don't know who's running it.
Right, because right now, personally, in Georgia, it just looks like a slogan sometimes. If I'm saying, it just looks like
trendy.
Something to say, something to jump on the bandwagon on, and actually people actually understanding that Black lives do matter. If I'm saying, it just, you know what? It's like the cool thing to do. It's the cool thing to go down to protest and post it on Facebook and Instagram. It's the cool thing to do. It's say, this is what I did. But I don't think a lot of people don't really logically understand the concept. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, it just changes. But like I said, I dig it. You know what I'm saying? I want everybody to understand it. But for me personally, like David said, I don't know who even started it. So,
Robert is about to cut up, but I want to hear from Ryan first, because he is our Persian brother, and I think it's important that we hear a couple of things from you, Rye. Like, why would a Persian guy join an African American sorority and fraternity, and what does Black Lives Matter mean to you?
Right. Well, let me take it. Okay, so you talk about Black Lives Matter, and I just echo what everybody else says, right? So it's sort of demanding now the political, economic, social justices that have been so lacking as a result of years of discrimination, whether it was in housing, whether it was in the banking industry, whatever, and sort of fed into these poverty into the community. I think the police angle of it has become sort of a easy out or sort of a scapegoat in kind of a way. It's easy to identify just the police, but I think the issues are much more broader than that. So I think it's a little narrowly focused. And I wanted to revisit the question about, is there a systematic racism in policing? And I think that's a pretty broad brush stroke. And I think it depends, everybody's perspective is going to be different. But for example, the Memphis Police Department is, majority of Memphis Police Department is African American, right? Mostly Black officers and female officers. So, you couldn't really make the argument that, that there's a sort of a systematic racism within that department that serves a city that's majority African American, right? So I think the perspective might be different depending on where the department is located. You know, are there prejudiced people in policing? Yeah, absolutely. Is it the norm? I don't think so. I think there's, but there's prejudiced people in every profession, right? So I think that's going to be sort of a hard one to deal with. But I don't think there's any room for any kind of prejudice in the police department if it affects the way you carry out your services to the community that you serve, right? And so I think that's the aim is to weed that element out if possible, But so I think it's hard to say that, yes, systematic racism exists. Now, obviously, if you look at it from a historical perspective, police agencies, whether it was Atlanta, Memphis, or Southern police departments, back during the civil rights movements and such, yeah, I mean, there was definitely systematic racism. But at that time also, it was all white officers, right? You had police departments that didn't have any black officers. And so a lot of that has changed. So I think in some ways it's changed, and there might be still some elements lingering from the past. But I think the aim is to move forward.
David, you over there shaking your head, Dave. What you got?
I'm gonna go and let Kendrick talk. No, Rob, you want to talk, bro?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I mean, so I kind of
what I gotta say afterwards.
All right. So, I mean, I'm kind of on the same page as Ryan. I think different departments, depending on their, geographic areas they cover, depending on the makeup of their department. LAPD, for instance. I mean, you look at, if several of us, lived and grew up out in LA. I mean, the 70s and 80s was crazy, and it was the good old boys club. And, I'm not going to say racism was not prevalent within the department at that time. I honestly believe it was. In my almost 25 years of experience on the job, I personally cannot, and I've worked with Asian officers, white officers, Hispanic, Black, everything. I have personally never seen anything racist around me. I think that, at least with the makeup of our department now, racism, if it is exposed or if it rears its head, I think that officer is very covert. And if they do it around someone they know might think like them. I just think it's something far removed from my department. You look at my department now, and it is 49% Hispanic. It is not the good old boys club anymore. It is predominantly Hispanic, just like the sheriff's department. So, I've never seen it. My partner, who I've been working with for 3 years now, he has about half as much time on as me. We talk about this type of stuff all the time, like I'm sure you guys talk about with some of your coworkers you're close with, and it's just, we don't see it where we're at. I can't definitely say, I can't say I have any experiences like both. I'm not from South Georgia. I've never been to the South like that. I can only imagine what it was like, since racism was definitely more prevalent in the South than out here on the West Coast. For me, as far as BLM goes, I definitely am of the opinion that Black lives definitely matter. Now, that movement, I don't support it at all. Zero, zilch. I think they're fake. They only come about when a white dude kills a Black man. A white officer kills a Black man. If David were to get shot and killed, Bo, me, Gia, any of us were to get shot and killed in the line of duty by a hardened criminal, where would BLM be? They're nowhere. They're a fake organization. They are a propaganda machine, as far as I'm concerned, because their acronym is fake. Black lives do matter, but to them, only certain Black lives matter. We don't matter. Something happens to one of us, no protest will ever happen on their behalf for us being Black individuals. They don't care. You can be the worst criminal in the world and get killed by a police officer. George Floyd, for instance, completely should never have happened. That dude, he might have been a racist, might not have been. I understand he had things against him. George Floyd should not have been killed. And he was not a good guy at all. He was not a good guy. but they will protest up and down the streets. They will, you know, foster rioting and looting to prove a point, but they won't do that when, you know, I know it's cliche to, you know, to always bring up somewhere like South Chicago or, you know, on the east side of LA, you know, when our black boys are out here just killing one another. Where are they? Where are they to march through these neighborhoods and start to empower black people to come outside and stand against what's going on in their own neighborhoods so that they feel safe in their neighborhoods? So BLM, joke. Black lives do matter, but that organization and that movement is a farce.
So while we're there, and you brought up the George Floyd incident, Rob, any of you that want to answer, if you were one of those officers that were, you know, a bystander, what would you have done, and should it matter if you've only been on the job less than 6 months?
I mean, if I could just, I'll keep going on that just for a second. I'll let someone jump on that, but I think me personally, I have a lot of time on the job. I have a lot of experience in the street, and recently, I'm actually in an investigation now where it's not my piece, but the officer who I had to step in between him and the particular person he was dealing with, who was a brother, you know, the officer pulled out, you know, put his hand on his gun because the guy was getting some stuff out of his car and grabbed some scissors. And I was just like, oh my God, this dude is about to shoot this man, you know, and I walked over, I pushed, you know, I moved my guy out the way. I was like, I got it, bro. Like, I got it. And I calmly talked to the guy, got him to leave the scissors in the car, you know, and I calmed the situation down and it was cool. But for me, I would have said something to Chauvin with my amount of time on the job, for sure. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I believe one of the officers who was on the back actually asked him, hey, should we turn him on his side? And he said, no, stay where you are. So one of the officers, if I'm not mistaken, actually did ask that. But you're talking to two kids who have very little time on the job. And, you know, when it comes to policing, everything you learn in the academy, those tools are not always used in the street. Maybe they were like, oh, okay, maybe this is how we deal with someone like this. Like, I don't know. You know, what were they supposed to do? Pull out their gun and put it to his head? Hey, man, get up off of this guy. Or shove him off, and then, you know, something all bad goes on. I definitely think maybe a more tenured officer. I don't know about the Asian guy that was standing there, you know, not doing anything. I don't know how much time he had on, but I believe the one young brother who was Chauvin's trainee only had 3 weeks on the job. So I think it's a really, really horrible position that kid got put in. But I mean, that's all I really got to say on that. I think it's a horrible position. I don't think that they're going to get any kind of filing on them at all. I think Chauvin is definitely going down for second degree, but it's completely on Chauvin. He knew he shouldn't have been doing what he was doing, and the situation was under control. He should have cuffed the guy, got him off the ground. And, you know, that man's actions put all of those other officers in a situation they shouldn't be in because he's an idiot. So that's all I got on that.
Dave, Kendra?
I'm gonna let Kendra go. Go ahead, Kenny.
Go ahead, Dave. It's all you.
So the question is basically, like, if I was there, would I have done something? Is that basically what I'm getting, right? So check this, because Rob hit on an excellent point. This is something that the public has no idea about, and this is another thing that I got a problem with law enforcement. We need to be a little more transparent with things. But when you a rookie, and excuse my language when I say this, my FTO programs came like this. Once again, I work in probably the most dangerous city in Ohio. Listen to me. Get in the car, shut the fuck up, don't touch shit. You piss when I piss, you eat when I eat. You feel me? Like, and I'm talking about, like, and if you don't know what street we on, you're gonna get the fuck out and walk.
And find
Like,
out.
So
Yep.
Rob hit on a great point because the public don't know. They be like, well, that's wrong. He should speak up. But what do you know how I feel to be blackballed in police work or not to be trusted? Like it's another code of ethics that people don't know about. I get what y'all see on the outside, but imagine somebody doing certain things, not something that dire, not a situation that dire, something a little less serious. And he speak up. He say, hey, man, I don't think you should do that. And he look at you and be like, man, what the fuck you say? Oh, I'm going to take care of you when we get in the court. You get back and now he done spread word to all the old heads like, hey, man, we can't ride, man, dude. You know what I'm saying? We can't trust him. He a sucker. So now everybody in the department don't even want to work with you. Don't even want to ride with you. When you arrive on the scene, they like, hey, man, stand back, bro. We got this, man. Like, you to a point where now you can't even do your job or learn your job in a manner. You get what I'm saying? That would be pleasing to you. Now you waking up every day dreading going to work. Like, damn, I don't even want to go to this.
Hey, don't call for a backup because they're not coming.
Oh, once the trust is lost in you, it's a wrap. You feel me? So like, it really, I hate to say this because it sound fucked up. It do. It sound fucked up because the public gonna be like, well, damn, he killing him. You should do something. But on the other end, if you in my shoes, if I'm a young tenderoni, and I'm like, damn, this nigga got 18 years on the job, I'll come and push him and get him up off him, bruh, it ain't no telling what type of consequence could come from that after the fact. Yeah, let's just say in that situation, yes, George Floyd would be alive, okay? If somebody just yammed him off, yeah, all right, we got him together, right? And then we get back to the station. We talking about Minneapolis Police Department. This ain't like no little Timbuktu little department in the cut somewhere where they only got like 47 officers or something. This is Minneapolis, bro. This is a big city. So you gotta like, you feel me, bro? Like, you gotta like, you really gotta, this shit is chess, not checkers, bro. I mean, you really gotta strategically move when you first get in. You gotta learn how shit go, and then you can go from there. You gotta make a system for yourself that works for you. You can't take nobody else's. You can take bits and pieces from everybody that you learn from, but you gotta create your own system. The other aspect to that is this though. When you become a cop or anything, you're a plumber, electrician, listen to me, man. You got to know who you are first. You got to identify who you are first. Too many people are jumping into this industry, into law enforcement, and they making police them. No, it should be an extension of who you are. It shouldn't be you, though. You get what I'm saying? I know people that join this shit, and it's thin blue line badge, thin blue line license plate, thin blue line bed sheets, thin blue line t-shirt, thin blue line tattoo, and I'm like, damn, bro, like, tone it down some. But if you don't know nothing, it's all you going adopt this as your identity.
Sounds a little like pledging, huh?
Yeah, it's a little bit. You could say something like that. You know, when you the new booty, are you online? That's kind of like what it's like. And like you said, you know, you out there, you know, you 3 weeks in, your training officer is the person that's gonna get you home every day. So
you got your Zeta jacket, your Zeta blanket, your Zeta hat. Right. You got your Zeta pillowcase.
Right.
Your Sigma paddle.
Right.
And it's sad because it's FTO. That man put everybody in an effed up situation. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no way to even explain it. Like I got this profession 11 years ago, and me fresh from college, like I don't know what the hell going on. You know what I'm saying? It's like if I was there and I would have known what was going on, of course. You know what I'm saying? But if I see my FTO doing something, well shit, that must be how they do things here. Shit, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But and then as far as the position of the officers, as far as the physical position of when, like for instance, the Asian man, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people are pissed off with him. He's focusing on the crowd. His job is focused on the crowd. That's his job. Like in situations like that, everybody got their own position. You know what I'm saying? So it's sad, it's a whole effed up situation.
It's just
like
messed
like
up.
like me personally, I think all 3 officers gonna get off, but Chauvin, his name's Chauvin, right? Chauvin.
Yep.
Yeah, Chauvin gonna get it. As far as the other 3 officers, I think it's gonna be like a slap on the wrist. Hey, don't do that shit no more. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just in a bad, effed up situations because shit. You talk about 3 weeks in. I mean, them boys don't know nothing about policing. They barely know themselves.
Exactly.
Like I can imagine me at 24, 25 in that situation. Like, well, I guess he know what he doing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you were 24, 25, you're like, what the fuck? Excuse my French. That's what you're saying. Like, what the fuck
right?
is happening right now? That's what you're saying. Because you're like, shit, I didn't, because
I just got here.
law enforcement.
I just
You don't know what you're getting. You don't know what you're getting every night. Every night you put that uniform on, you put that badge and gun, you get in that car. You don't know what to call. You don't know what's happening until you get there.
And honestly, like that FTO, man, his ass let everybody down.
Yes.
Like I'm talking about everybody that was on scene, everybody in the department, everybody wearing the badge. That motherfucker let everybody down across the nation.
Oh, right, across the nation. I was gonna say not just
Across
there,
the
bro.
Right.
Because look, all of us dealt with the ramifications of what he did.
Yes.
Like he's in Minneapolis and LA is burning down.
Bro,
And we're
they
like,
burn Atlanta down.
So here's the question. Then. What kind of reform would you support? Is there any type of reform that you would support? Because we don't, as an officer, you don't want other officers making you look bad. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and your department is running right, what kind of reform would keep